minimum wage advising Nedlac, and that's Imraan Valodia. Great to have you with us, Imraan.
Great to be here.
What the Deputy President suggested today was heartening to me, something really thoughtful, very anti-Donald Trump-like, and based on research. Is this, in your view, the best we can do, looking at minimum wages introduced around the world, what's happened? Was this the best?
Yeah, I think, I mean, this is in line with the suggestion that we made in the panel's report. And I think our sense was that one had to think a lot about what needs to be done to improve the lives of those who earn wages that are quite low. And it's really striking when you see the data that's something close to 47% of those who have jobs in South Africa earn less than 20 Rand an hour. So you want to do that, you want to improve their lives, you want to ensure that their incomes can go up. But it's quite a tricky thing to do, because in most other areas you would, for example, if you were dealing with issues of taxes, you would be thinking about how you would move income from those who have high incomes to those who have low incomes. In this area, those that are likely to have their lives improved are also the group that are likely to pay the costs of this. So if you don't sort of get the sort of balance right, I think there's a great sort of danger that you could hurt those that you're trying to help.
So like you say, lives are at stake, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the research has been mixed. Singapore did something beautiful, lifted its whole economy, but I understand different things have happened in different countries. So did you just have to say, look, we'll have to put a line in the sand and see how it works out for South Africa? So,
I mean, we were quite lucky to have a huge amount of research to draw on. So one of the members of the sort of panel was the expert from the ILO who brought all of the international evidence to bear. We had a large amount of research that's been done on the likely impacts in South Africa. I think the panel's job was to look through all of this research and to try to make some sense of what's the most likely scenario that will play out, and what are the ways in which we can ensure that while you have the advantages of going to those who earn low wages, you don't have a negative impact on the business sector, and you don't have a negative impact through rising unemployment. So it's a sort of balancing act that we had to play.
And that's how you came to 3,500.
That's right. So
basically,
when we looked at all of the evidence, I mean, one of the things that comes out of the international evidence is that that the hype about the numbers of jobs that are likely to be lost is kind of played out in each of the sort of countries that had tried this. But that hype doesn't really, it's not really realized when you look at it afterwards. So I think we have we've got to sort of not be driven too much by the hype about the numbers of jobs that are likely to be lost.
It sounds like you are going in with your eyes wide open, though, and I understand that you think there may be job losses, there may be a transition period. Try and tell me a possible outcome. Will it be temporary? How significant will it be?
So one of the things that the sort of panel's report draws out quite strongly is that we really have to manage this transition process with as much care as we can. So what some of the suggestions have been that one should immediately set a wage that you want to get to in, say, for 5 years' time. The panel's view was that would be premature, that we have to know what the impact would be, and that we have to make any changes on the level, on a quite clear assessment of the impact. I think one of the other strong recommendations is to make sure that we have an exemptions process. So if a firm's not able to pay the wage, they should be allowed to come to the Department of Labour, provide the evidence for why they can't do it, and there should be some sort of exemption process, which you might want to have it time bound, but we must manage this adjustment process in a careful way.
And farm workers and domestic workers are exempted. I think Cyril Ramaphosa was talking about that 75% for domestic workers. But aren't those the vulnerable of the vulnerable, the huge masses of people that we're trying to protect with this?
So they're not really exempted, they're tiered, and that's an important sort of the difference. So if you're exempted, you're outside of the system completely. I mean, it's those groups that require this the most. But if they move straight to 20 Rand an hour, the wage adjustment's going to be too high, and you're likely to have unemployment effects in those sectors. So what the sort of panel suggested is that we should tier them into the system. So they had a kind of at a fixed percentage of the kind of the wage, and we would want to move them to the floor wage as soon as we can, but we have to do it on as much research as we can on the actual implementation.
Because of the exemptions, because we already have different sectors with different minimum wages, some people have been saying this will just be a token because it's actually there. That's why it really hit me today when Cyril Ramaphosa said 6.6 million people are earning actually below this line. So this is a huge adjustment, is it?
It is. I mean, it's a massive change in the lives of those who've not really sort of benefited much from the growth that we've had in the last few years. What we've had in the labour market is those at the top end have seen their wages rise by quite high numbers. I think those at the sort of bottom end have really not had those increases, and this is a group of workers who are not really represented by large trade unions. They're not part of the collective bargaining system. So we set a floor, and no one should be below that floor. And I think that's the way that you protect these workers. And I think it's likely to have a huge impact on their lives.
I hope it does. And thank you for sharing that with us. Somebody asked on Twitter, and you have confirmed that research that the Advisory Council used to advise Nedlac is available on the Nedlac website. That was the chair of the Advisory Council on the National Minimum Wage, Imraan Valodia.